Hey everyone, Nick from Gallery 7, and we're doing a really, what I think is a beautiful and very interesting project. This is a picture of our client's great-grandmother, and I'm not sure when she realized this, but if you look at the necklace in the picture, she actually found the necklace that she was wearing in the picture. So she thought it might be really nice to frame them both together. So this presents, a few issues. This is just a quick test mat that I cut just for sizing everything down. And that's kind of how it's going to look. But of course, we can't have a regular mat on this because the glass will touch that. So what's going to happen is the mat has to be raised up. So that's the first thing we really have to consider. Now, I cut this test because I want to show you something. I'm going to actually put it this way. So when you cut a regular mat board, you can usually see the white edge of the mat board. And even if it's a solid core, you see this beveled edge. And that looks really nice when it's down flat and it's around something. The problem is this is going to be shadow boxed a little bit. So you're going to see this beautiful linen mat board underneath there. This line becomes distracting. So you cut something called the reverse bevel. I'm going to turn this around. And now it looks like a beautiful little jewel box. So, sort of to sum up, normally the bevel runs in toward the image and you see the edge of the mat board. In a reverse bevel, it's cut the opposite way, so you have a sharp line here. Now, we're going to go over and look at the mat board cutter. Okay, so while you guys ponder what the camera's staring at, which is the mat board being ready to be cut, I've always had a pet peeve when you watch videos on how to do things, and everything always goes perfectly. And I realize I've done that in my videos. So going forward, when something screws up, I'm going to tell you guys, because there's a lot of energy and work that goes into getting things perfect. And what really made me think of this specifically today is cutting reverse bevel. Okay, so when you cut a mat board, I've got this mat board lined out. That's going to be the window. When you cut a mat board, you'll notice that the edge of the guide is facing the opening. And if you look at the angle of this, you see how this is angled? So that's going to cut this way into that. And when it's cut, you're going to see the bevel in front. So I'm going to cut two lengths like that. And then I'm going to show you I think this blade's getting old, but we can still demonstrate with it. Okay, so here's the mat board. This is an old scrap. And now you can see the bevel. Is that clear enough? Should I put it on something darker? What do you think, Kelly?
Put on something darker.
I'll put on something darker. Hang on, guys. Ooh, I've got purple. Here. So now I'll put it up here, and now you see the white bevel. That's a regular bevel. When you cut a reverse bevel, remember when I cut that, the edge of the ruler is facing toward the hole. When you cut a reverse bevel, you turn everything around. See, I just did that wrong. You turn everything around so that this edge is facing away from the hole. And I spend 99, and most framers do, 99.99% of your time cutting regular mat boards. And when you have a mat board cutter like this and you cut everything by hand and you're cutting reverse bevel, it is so easy to cut this line and then just turn it to cut this line and you just screwed it up. Happens all the time. So anyway, now we're going to cut a reverse bevel. This is facing away from the opening. And now we're going to turn it this way and make sure this is facing away from the opening. And then this is just like the test mat that I showed you guys. Okay. And there we have, there we go. There we have a regular bevel and a reverse bevel. All right, I'm going to cut this mat with the reverse bevel. Things that could go wrong. I cut one, turn it the wrong way, and cut one of the lines, not a reverse level. And the other thing is I don't hold my cutting head steady enough, and I get a little bloop or a little wobble in a corner. I'm very thankful that I have extra of this mat board in case I screw up, which could happen. And if I screw up today, you're going to see it. Okay, here we go. I'm going to make sure it went through. Okay. So now here's where I could make a mistake. I could happily come and cut this one like normal, but of course this is facing the hole. So I have to cut this one next with the line facing away from the hole. And you know, now I think about it, maybe the way to do it, even if I'm not on video, is to explain it every time I do it, like someone's here, and that will lessen the chance that I'll screw it up. Okay. Now we cut this one. No, we don't. See? That would ruin it. I have to turn it around, and now I have to cut this. See, I almost screwed that up. It's muscle memory. Right, that's right. I'm stopping and pausing to make sure. Now this again faces away from the hole. All right. Right there. So I've done all the vertical lines on the mat. Now I have to do the horizontal lines. I'm going to turn it this way. Again, blade facing away from the hole. You know, guys, this is actually helping me with this. Yeah, that's right. Yep. Two more cuts to make. Facing away from the opening, that is correct. I'm right on my line, and I'm going to switch around my blade around to get a fresh edge. They don't last that long, especially with the cloth covered mat boards. That also happens. You get to this point, you forget to switch the blade around, and then you get a little fuzzy tear out because the blade's getting old. And then you got to do the whole thing again. Here we go. Okay. Yep, I think we're good. Yep. I think that's it. I'm turning it over slowly because I don't want to look. Okay. Well, the mat board's cut perfectly. Don't know where the hell that came from. Let's see. That's a little residue of double-sided tape that must have been on the board. Yeah, we'll get that off. Corners look good. Okay, so this is kind of what it's going to look like. The window, and then you don't make the spacer board flush like that. It's recessed in a little bit. So it gets recessed in, so there's a little overhang here. So now I'm going to turn this over and show you where we are. First, you'll notice a bunch of these have double lines on them. If you get in close, you can see. The first line, I drew that, and then when I put my little test piece down, I said, you know, that's not leaving me enough overhang here. So I drew the line in a little bit closer. And so the first thing that happens is these black spacers, which are 3/8 of an inch, back up a little bit, Kelly, yeah, that's good. These go right on that inner line. And this doesn't have to be exact. Just like that. And I'm going to put one over here. Make sure I'm on my lines over this way. Okay, so now the next two things are going to happen, which I'm not going to show you. The first one is I cut a bunch of strips to go here, 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 and here. And those strips all get put in. And this we may show you. I then cut strips of this, which get glued to the black, and that makes that little shadow box. So now I've got these all around the windows. I've got this on everything. And of course, I can't turn this over and put it in a frame like that. That'll happen. So we're just going to reach in front of the camera for a second. Everything here is going to get built up with foam core. So they will be foam core at the same height as this, all the way around the mat and all the way in the center strip, giving everything a nice level platform for when I mat it. Okay, I think we'll show you some more later. So now we've got like our frame within a frame. This is what holds the mat board that makes a shadow box. And as I said earlier, everything around here has to be brought up to this level. And so a piece of 1/8 foam core and 3/16 foam core seems to be perfect. So now what I've done is I've cut this to fit in here. And these don't have to be perfect, guys. But here's where, rather than counting 16ths or 32nds of an inch on a ruler, I like to just make a mark on a strip of mat board. So that's how wide I need to cut it. So first I'm going to cut my 1/8 strip. Let's make sure I got this going the right way, and I do. And I won't be surprised if I have to trim this or tweak it a little bit. Let's see here. So that's the 1/8. And, oh, sorry, that's the 3/16. Now I'm going to cut the 1/8 strip. With my Jethro approved measuring stick. Young people don't get that joke, and that's okay. All right. So I've got 2 strips, and these are going to be put in here with double-sided tape. Actually, that doesn't need any. That fits pretty nice. And let's see how this one looks. A little tear out there. This one I have to trim down just a teens. And like I said, these don't have to be perfect. I think that's going to be fine. Nope, this one's a little too thin. I'm not going to make you watch me cut this again, but I made some mistake measuring it. So I'm just going to cut this piece again, okay? Well, remember how happy I was that that first piece fit in so perfectly? Well, not really. What happened was when I pushed it in, it pulled these apart a little bit and made this overhang too small. So I had to move these back in closer together and cut a thinner strip to go into there. And that's just the kind of little things you run into when you're building something like this. And I guess we'll show you some more later. All right, let's see where we are. So I've got the 3/8 inch spacers all the way around. I've built with foam core, I built everything up flush, so it's a nice flat surface when it goes on the backboard. The next thing to do is I have to line all of these with the mat board that matches the front. But before I do that, I have to do a little more work on the back. We had discussed with the client that she wants the necklace to run right out of the frame, right under the mat board like that. And I could just put it together like this, but I think what I'm going to do is just cut a little notch in this right here. It's a delicate necklace and I don't want it squished under that hard plastic. I'm going to cut a little trough in here too. Now that's something I should have done before I did all this, but I was getting into the project and really wanted to get this part done. So no big deal. Cut a little trough here and in here so the necklace has a nice gentle place to lie down underneath the mat board. Okay, I guess we will show you more later. All right, so I'm stitching this down, and a couple things we have to keep in mind. I have to keep a center line all the way up. And the other thing is, when you stitch something like this, I can't just go down to the top, come up to the bottom, because I could come up in the wrong place. So I'm going to need the thread to be right here, but I have to start it from the bottom. So what I do is I put the needle through, then I take the needle out, I turn it over, find that hole, the needle comes through this hole, and now I'm going to put it right here and pull it through a tie off on back. I'm not going to do that on camera because I can't screw this up. So the whole mat board and the necklace in the photograph have been assembled. I love the way this looks with the cloth lining. Also, the strainer back is built. And the reason we have the strainer back on this is because it's a very thin frame this way. It doesn't give us a lot of meat to screw into. And when the whole thing goes together, it's going to be like this, but I'm not going to hold it up now. When it's all done, we'll stand it up and show it to you.